Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to the shop where we'll be working on a 2011 Audi A4. Needs a wheel bearing. You'll need a pick. Move your lug bolt cover. Now we're going to be replacing a wheel bearing, so you're going to have to break loose the axle bolt. I use a 3/4 inch Allen with 1/2 inch breaker bar. Let's break this bad boy loose. Alright, that's good. Now you can lift up your car. Grab a jack stand. Always secure your car with a jack stand. There you go. Drop it down. There you go. Now we'll need 17mm. Inch. Okay, so that's that. There's a lot of corrosion. Alright, now let's push this brake piston in a little bit, just to make it easier to remove the brake caliper. What I like to do is grab a flathead, place it in between. Sometimes you need a bigger one. Just gotta pry it back. Just like that. Chipped it a little bit, but no big deal. Now I need to remove this clip. Grab yourself a pry bar or a thicker screwdriver. Pry against this, just like that. Now it's stuck. There we go. Watch your eyes, and there it goes. We'll need a 13mm for the brake caliper bolts. Not sure if I have it here. Sorry again for the mess. Had a long day yesterday. Alright, now let's remove this. It's the one right here in the back. I'm placing the wheel bearing because there's a weird vibration at about 70 miles an hour, between 50 and 70 miles an hour. Just do have an issue with the axles. I already replaced the axle and it's not it, so I'll replace the bearing. Now grab yourself a hook. I usually use this little strap just to kind of hold the brake caliper in place. Once I remove it, there we go. Let's do some 2 bolts. Let's get this off. It's tight. Come off. go. Place this inside, just like that. Keep it so there's no tension on the line. Now I'll remove the brake caliper bracket. Not sure what size that is. So it's a 21mm. Oops, now be careful on your lines. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the wheel towards the left. A little bit more access. Just like that. Grab your impact. Let's this up out of the way for a second. That's tight. Gotta break it loose. Oh. Tight. Oh man. There we go. This one. Grab the other eye. Alright, there we go. Now grab your impact. Let's take it. Place it over to the side. Place your bolts. That's a lot of corrosion. Now what we're going to need to do is grab yourself a rag. You'll need a 16mm box wrench. I prefer to have two of them because you will need them. Grab yourself, if you have ratcheting 16, I have no idea where the other 16mm is. 15, 14, 18, 15, right here, 16mm. Now a lot of guys they say to remove the ball joints down the bottom so you get the axle out, but I prefer removing these up here. 16 nut with a bolt. It's basically a control arm connected to the strut mount. Remove it on both sides in the back. Don't touch this bolt because this bolt does break, and unless you replace the control arms, don't touch it. Now let's begin. Actually, you know what? Let's remove the rotor. Forgot about that, sorry. It's a T30. Let's get to that. Grab yourself a T30. Just like that. Place it to the side. If you're replacing your rotors, be careful with this one. Grab yourself a rubber mallet and just gently hit it. Loosen it up. Might have to replace the rotor on this one. There's a lot of rust. That didn't cause any damage to the rotor, so you're using a rubber mallet, should be fine. Now here's the wheel bearing. Now let's get to removing the upper control arm. Upper control arms. Let's break them loose, just like that. Let's break the other side loose. To hold it. It's pretty straightforward. Remove the nut. Same goes for the other side. Let's remove that. Let's take out the bolt. It's pretty tight. I don't know why. Just like that. Straighten the wheel out. That's why there's so much tension on those upper control arms. Should have thought about that. Should be a lot easier. There we go. There's one. No, it's still tight. Just like that. Hopefully we can get it out. Now, yes, this would be easier on the lift, but I obviously don't have one, so work with that one. Let's pry this back, pry this back. That gives you all that room to slide the axle out. Let's remove the axle bolt. Put the nut to the side, the bolt, sorry. Slide this back. You can remove these lines just to make it easier, so you don't rip them. Just like that. Screwdriver in the back. Same goes with the brake line. Just like that. Alright. So now we have all that extra room. See? There we go. Press over to the side. Now this is the used axle, so we'll just have to work to use one. Now you can disconnect this. Just pry it out. It's a regular connector, just like all the other Audi ones. Push in, press this tab, pull out. Makes life easier. You don't want to risk damaging it. Just be careful with the body. Alright, here are the bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab a couple lights for you guys. So what you will need is obviously a wheel bearing. Bought this wheel bearing on Amazon. I think I paid about 30-40 bucks for it. It's pretty good. So what we need is M12 triple square. and the longest 3/8 ratchet you have. If you do have these in 1/2 inch, it's even better. These are sometimes pretty tight. Let's get on to removing these bolts. There's one. There's another one. This one right here. Another one. Ah man, clean off all this grease. Get them, make a mess. Loosen this side. Well, ain't working out. Let's grab fucking tools everywhere. 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter. 1/2 inch gun. Hopefully I'll be able to reach this, but if not, we'll do it by hand. Let's see. There we go. Shoot it right out. Always has to be something there. Set that up. Comes out. Remove all your bolts. Always replace your hardware. Those onto the side. Yeah, she's got a little bit of grinding in her. It's fine. Replacing all that. Grab yourself another rag. Now, grab yourself a bottle of brake clean. You can use alcohol. Whatever works for you works. Squeeze your foot, pull out. There we go. You gotta remember right here is the wheel speed sensor, so just be careful with it. I don't recommend removing it because this is aluminum. Over time it gets corroded. Basically holds tight onto that sensor, and you don't want to break it. It's just extra work for no reason. Let's clear some of this out with a screwdriver. Like I said, be careful with that sensor. Get some of this corrosion off. You can use a razor, wire wheel brush, which I have here. Use one of these bad boys. So grab yourself the wire wheel brush. Let's clean these out. Careful with that sensor. Let me sort this out. Alright, now grab your old wheel bearing. We have to remove the hub. A lot of times what I do is when the bearing hub assembly is still bolted onto the knuckle, I grab a hub puller. It's basically a clamp that goes around the hub. It kind of has a slide hammer to pull it out. But we're going to try it like this. If you do have a vise, so much easier. If you don't, you grab 2 pieces of wood or pieces of plate, put it in. Grab yourself an air hammer. If you don't have an air hammer, you could use a chisel, kind of go around it, and with a hammer kind of pull it out. I do recommend replacing the hub anytime you are replacing the bearing, just kind of makes life a little bit easier. You don't have to deal with all this excessive, you know, extra stuff. So now let's go remove this. This is going to be loud, so it's dirt. Now you don't have to sand this, and if it is rusty, I recommend replacing it. Put a little bit of automotive grease. Here. This makes it easier to slide in. And this helps. The one that's a little dirty faces down here like this. So remember, I put it in the vise, just like that. Slide it on. Just like that until it bottoms out. There you go. Have the hub back on here. Let's cool with a bit of our clean. It's a lot better. Now what you're gonna do is, so now you already have that cleaned. Everything's prepared. You will need a torque wrench. I do torque these bolts down to 80 Newton meters, or about 60 foot-pounds of torque, plus 90 degrees. Harbor Freight. I got it on sale. I don't remember how much I paid, between $100 and $150 maybe. It is pretty good. I do have a snap-on wrench, but it needs to be calibrated, and I'd rather just buy a new one. Anywho, so grab yourself some Loctite. I use medium strength. Basically, it was like a chapstick. Put it on the threads. Secure it. Keep it secured, and also give it some lubrication. Now let's place this in. Now you can look at the bolt holes are a little offset, so it'll fit only one way. You can't mix this up. Start the bolts. Get the bolt started. This will make it easier if you do have a second hand to help. And also, it's a lot easier to do it the way I'm doing it, basically with removing the upper control arms. In fact, this is actually pretty heavy, and you don't feel, you don't want this dangling. Plus, you would have to remove. What else you'd have to remove? You probably would have to remove the tie rod, and I mean these ball joints down here, they're a pain in the ass to get out. It's not even worth it. All right, so let's get this started. So we have M12 triple square. Just kind of snug them up. I won't bore you through the torque process, but like I said, it's about 60 foot-pounds of torque plus 90 degrees. Alright, so now that we have it all torqued up, make sure it spins. It's not hitting the wheel speed sensor. Place this axle back in. Just like that. Alright, grab your new axle bolt. Now you don't put any Loctite on here. Goes in dry, just like that. There is some grease in the actual shaft itself, so be sufficient enough lubricant. Start this by hand. Put it all the way in by hand. You don't have no binding. Just like that. Now you gotta re-secure the ABS sensor line, brake line. Place it back in these grooves. There we go, just like that, perfect. All that's together. Put the control arms back in. Just like that. Now these bolts, they go in from the inside out, just to make it easier. like that. And there. This here. Sometimes pain in the ass, but just like that. Come on, baby. All right, there we go. Wiggle it around, or just use a screwdriver and pry it in. Won't work. Alright, let's see. Rebonding out. There we go. Now it's in. Grab your 2 nuts. Start the nuts. Now, I don't have the torque specs for those bolts. I don't think they're much. They're probably between 30 to 40-ish foot-pounds. But I mean, who's got crow's foot to use on their torque wrench? I just basically snug them up as much as I could. They're not as tight, anyways. Or sorry, weren't as tight, anyways. Snug them up. Other side. Oops, away. Up. Just like that. Oh, I hate this freaking GoPro. Anyways, so we have that. Now you can snug this up a little bit with your gun. I mean, this is gonna be snug it up. We'll torque it once we have the wheel back on, and just like that. This is my car, so I'm not too worried about the body. It does need paint correction. It's got a lot of scuffs, but please be careful. You don't want to scratch your paint. Let's clean all the scrap off. Now, with ease of removing the rotor, if we ever want to something in my ear, so ease of removing the rotor in the future, a little bit of grease, just like that. And sorry about that noise, it's my washing machine. It's got a bad bearing, reason it's here. Place this back on, make sure just like that. Let's put this bad boy back in, put a little bit of grease on your bolt. Just like I said, make it easier to remove in the future. Yeah, it did come out pretty easy, but still, why not? We're already here, why not put some grease? Snug it up, don't over tighten it. It's spinning pretty freely. Let's put your brake caliper bracket back on. Now let's clean these threads up a little bit. Let's same thing. Put some Loctite. Also, make it easier. Oh, let's turn the wheel to the left. Click it on. Start the bolts. And let's secure these. Grab your 1/2-inch gun, 21mm. Raise up your caliper. Oops, wrong way. Snug this one up. Tighten that up. Grab your breaker bar. I don't have the torque specs for this either, so let's use our brains here and snug this up. Oh, it's pretty tight anyway, so okay, it's pretty tight. Gun does a wonderful job. Place your caliper back on. Move your hook. Comes out. Just like that. Place it to the side. Place this back on. Grab your bolts. Oh. Man. This bad boy's about to die. Let's start your bolts. Start the other bolt. I do not have torque specs for this either. Just snug them up, tighten them up. These are probably about 15 to 20 foot-pounds. Maybe more actually. Snug it up. Click. Now let's put the brake caliper clip back on. The way I do this is put it in the front just like that. Kinda, let's see if I could just kinda wedge it back on. It didn't work. So a little spacing. Just like that. Whoop. And it's on. Beautiful. Move this, make sure your connectors are connected. Let's put the wheel back on and choke the axle nut. Wheel out. And what I like to do is, since the wheel came off so hard, grab the wire wheel that we use to clean out the knuckle for the bearing. And just kind of clean it. Same thing here. Grab yourself a little bit of grease just to kind of make it easier in the future to remove the wheel. Place that to the side. Grab your 17mm. Put a bolt on. Side. Oh, it's much quieter, huh? Shut your lights off. Let's put the wheel back on. Now some of these Audi wheels come with center caps. This one's full cover, so it covers the bolts as well, but some of them just a regular round piece. So when you have the wheel off, just pop it out. A screwdriver, a little hammer, with your fingers, don't break it. Start these all by hand. Little NASCAR. Let's get these on. Snug these up. These bolts. Alright, so once you have your wheel back on, drop it down. Axle nut bolt is torqued to 200 Nm or 147 to 140 foot-pounds of torque plus 180 degrees. I torqued down my wheel bolts, the lug bolts, to about 120 to 125 foot-pounds of torque. It's pretty sufficient to what Audi says. Put your cover back on, and thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and let me know in the comments what future videos you'd like to watch. Thank you very much. Bye.